You'll never look at a cat the same way again. Welcome to I Hope You Suffer.
That's true. At least a cat on a boat.
Or it has 9 lives, you only have one.
Oh.
Or they paid for a holiday of a lifetime with their lives.
They didn't pay, though.
Obvious flaw in this fucking tagline.
I feel like the description of what's actually happening in this movie is like not accurate. Like, this is not what I expected.
It's pretty great though. This is episode 206 of I Do Suffer. My name is this cat that looks like Xerxes.
I think its name is
Kit.
SD618.
Kit is man at gas station.
Yeah, that's true.
Katie
Frequently.
is girl in pizza parlor.
I'm boy on beach.
This week we are talking about 1988's Uninvited. Not to be confused with the 30 other movies called The Uninvited, which I assume are about ghosts.
Yeah.
Not cool boat cats.
There are so many fucking movies just called Uninvited or The Uninvited.
Yeah.
It's, all ripping off this movie, I assume.
I'm also not really sure why it's called that, because the cat was in fact invited onto the boat.
Yeah,
so
the thing inside the cat wasn't.
Yeah, the cat within the cat.
The demon, yeah. So I tried to look up what this cat's name was, like the actor cat,
Gunther.
and I couldn't
Gunther
find
the
it
cat.
anywhere. So I just called the cat DC for Demon Cat. I do like Gunther. I think its name is actually SD-618, but it kind of doesn't really roll off the tongue. So
It's also not a demon, isn't it? Like an alien?
I don't know. I have no idea. I don't.
Aliens
feel like
can be
they,
demons.
I
I
don't
don't feel like they really explain. They're just like, he was in a science lab, and I'm like, okay, and tell me more. And like, that's all we get. So I don't know what was going on, because then when you read the synopsis, it's like whoever wrote the synopsis knows somehow the backstory behind this cat, but they do not tell us in the movie. The cat, however, I love to the moon and back. Very cute. 10/10 would adopt, even with the demon.
Anytime it's like the weird puppet with just like the grin before the alien pops out is like my favorite thing.
It's huge. It's so big. I want to know who has the prop that I can have.
I feel like this is the kind of thing that I was like, if I was ever gonna fucking buy a movie prop, I would buy that fucking puppet in a heartbeat.
So cute.
So Kit and I had seen this before, like we said the last episode, and like, I'm a fan. I'm like, this is one of those movies that I think is like a perfect, like, goofy and fun horror movie, where like nothing in it like makes sense. You got like a fucking cat with an alien inside of it, and it's just like chaos ensues, and just it works on like that level of like when 80s, like, you know, the people making it were like, this is gonna be seriously scary and people are gonna fucking lose their minds, and then you're just like, this is a movie about an alien that comes out of a cat's mouth. So I don't know, I like it. Kit, what do you think before we get Katie's first thoughts?
Yeah, it rocks. I bought it during the last Vinegar Syndrome sale, which was one of the wisest decisions I've ever made.
I should look like when they do their halfway to Black Friday sale in like a week or two. I might pick it
Uh,
up.
they're running very low, I think.
Yeah. It's it's one of those things that like I see it pop up used on like Orbit DVD periodically, so I'll get it eventually. But it was one of those ones that, like when it came out, I was like, I don't know if I would watch this enough like to buy it on Blu-ray. And then after rewatching it this time, I was like, yeah, I will probably watch this all the time.
Yeah.
Katie, what'd you think?
I liked it. Like I said, the movie wasn't about what I thought it was actually about. Like for some reason, I thought it was about like a family on a cruise or something. And so the actual circumstances of like these fucking stupid kids it's a lot different. But like any of the practical effects I thought were like really great. Like the cat obviously being a blatant puppet, and then the demon cat thing being like, I loved the way that the demon cat looked. It was like ridiculous. And like anytime somebody got bit or whatever, it was just like disgusting. So like overall, I really liked it. I had only seen, like, I obviously had never seen this before. I had only seen like stills of the cat puppet thing, like, you know,
So
shared
good.
around Instagram or whatever. And this was the first time that I got like the name of it and looked it up, and it happened to be free. And I was like, okay, well, this is perfect then. So it's on Tubi right now if you want to watch it. My only complaint about it is that the sound mixing was really weird. Like, first of all,
Yeah, you run into that on. I don't know if that's a Tubi thing or if like the movie was like that, because it's been a long time since I watched. Like I had just like a shitty DVD copy of it like a long time ago. And like, but I come across that on Tubi sometimes, where Tubi just has movies where like the mix on it is fucked up.
Yeah, it was like I was watching it with my AirPods, and it was like, what's happening?
Kit's wrestling his microphone.
Yep.
Yeah. It was like I had to keep turning it down and turning it up, because first of all, they did this thing that was very unnecessary, but they overlaid cat meows over a lot of the scenes where like the cat's in the room, but like they're not showing the cat, and the people are talking, and the cat's just like meow, meow, meow. And like, listen, we all have cats. We understand that's how it is, but I don't need you to be doing it. And then it was just like a lot of like the music, very, very intense, serious music was like very loud. And then like, you know, they're on a boat, so whenever they go outside, it was windy. It was like, and I'm like, what's happening? Like, luckily there was subtitles, but that's like kind of my only complaint, other than because it's kind of just a ridiculous movie, right?
Yeah, it's a banger. There should be more movies where cats are just fucking people's ankles up.
Absolutely.
I agree.
All right, yeah, let's dive into Uninvited.
So the movie opens with the credit "Amazing
With an
Movie
invitation.
Presents," which I love. So there's just like a bunch of vets that are looking at an X-ray of a cat, and they're talking about how they're going to operate because they don't know like what's inside of it. And then we see this beautiful, fluffy orange cat, who I am going to call DC, like I said, for Demon Cat. And he's not here for being operated on and whatnot, and he like fucking kicks the vets and he runs. This is when one of...
Why did they just have the door open? Like, they picked him up and set him on a table with the door open, and like, oh shit, we could have never guessed he would just jump off the table and run away.
Obviously, we've never been around a cat
in
before.
The building are open,
Right?
Stupid. The guy calls the code red, and I was like, it's just a cat. But he's calling for radiation security, and I was like, okay. So then there's a bunch of dudes in hazmat suits that look very strange, and they're kind of like chasing the cat. The cat's just kind of like, the thing I love about this is because it's like a lot of it is a real cat, and so it's like the cat's just like calmly walking down the stairs, and they're like, "Oh, well, get it," and then they show the cat, and he's just like, "La la la," like, just like strolling around, and it's like so cute because they just like let him do his own thing, you know. Yeah, they're chasing him. They corner him in a stairwell, and then they like shoot a sedation gun at him, and they get him and they catch him, unfortunately, because then a tiny demon cat comes out of its mouth, like literally the cat's mouth. This is the first time we see the puppet, and it's like a fucking huge puppet cat mouth, a head, and a little demon thing comes out of its mouth, like a full-grown demon cat comes out of another cat and then goes back in and hides
so
there.
Shitty, it rules.
It's
incredible.
The best.
It's the weird little arms on the demon cat that really get me, because they're like a weird angle. They're not like straight ahead.
Well, it's,
you know?
it's like that shit where like it's blatantly like a hand puppet where just somebody like they spread their hand out for like the hands.
Oh yeah,
like...
yeah. The hands kind of look like little like rat bird claws or something. Like it's like the cat's fuzzy except for like its face and hands. It's very strange. Yeah, it comes out and it kills all the guys, and the cat escapes, and we get some delightful cat vision of the cat running around a parking garage. Because like Kit said, they have all of the doors open for some reason.
Not a very secure facility.
No, especially if you're dealing with like genetically modified radiation animals.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'd say radioactive animals especially. I feel like you should probably have doors closed, and maybe something stronger than like, I don't know, a wooden classroom door, perhaps.
Well, they sure learned their lesson.
Did they?
I mean,
the cat went and like murdered a bunch of other people on a boat. They're just like, oh, this cat's gone, I guess.
Well, they got murdered first. I know. I was kind of expecting like a King Cobra situation where like a doctor would show up again later, like, hey, by the way,
nah,
like,
they don't care.
It
got out. They're like, fuck it.
Pat Morita just shows up and is like, I've been pumping myself full of cat venom all these years.
They're like, well, we still have the snake with the snake inside of it, so it's fine.
Holy shit! If that happened in fucking King Cobra. It's just a little.
That would have been amazing.
It's like not even a big snake. It's just like a very tiny, like gardener.
Yeah,
snake.
just like a regular.
It's like a little like xenomorph situation, but it's like a cute like gardener snake. So the doctors are like looking around the parking garage. This is where I wrote the music is very intense, and then
the music through this whole film is incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty good. We see a shadow of the cat demon coming out and killing a cop. So
hell yeah.
Yeah.
Cat said a cab.
That's right. The cat, I think, gets the doctor, like the main doctor or whatever, and then escapes into the night. So this is where we meet two of our main characters, Bobby and Suzanne. And they're in front of a hotel, and they're talking about how they can't afford to stay anywhere, even though we find out that they're down there for spring break. So they just like showed up with no plan. They're also wearing T-shirts that are completely ripped open in the front with bathing suits underneath. So not really sure what the point of the shirt is, but that's fine. So they're going to go inside and like hang out in the lobby because they're tired. But the security guard is like telling them that if they don't have a room there, they can't stay in the lobby because it's like fancy or whatever. And then I'm not really sure what relation he has to the hotel, except for that he's rich. But this is where we meet Mr. Graham, who is just like pretty much like a rich asshole. And he pretends that he knows the girls, and then he invites them for dinner. And I was very suspicious of him at this point. Then two men who are named Mike and Albert come in and get Graham for a meeting. And Graham is essentially just like, I have to go do business, but I'm going to send a car back for you. I thought he said at midnight, but oh wait, never mind. Maybe they skipped that. Anyways, he's like, I'm going to send you a car because I want you to come party on my yacht. Did we
Hell
get
yeah.
2 weeks of sick yacht? I have to say the Sex Fish yacht is a lot nicer than his yacht is.
Yeah, this yacht didn't have a
but
sex toilet.
Yeah,
no,
fucked up.
or Jessica the clockfish either. So what are they even doing on this yacht?
Nothing fun, obviously.
I don't know. I wrote some guy is doing business with them. I'm not really sure like what was going on with this guy, but he was like all nervous
Business.
talking
He's
about
a business guy.
Yeah, showbiz. They were
Dave
talking
Business
about
is his name.
okay, Dave Business is there. He's all nervous because he's talking about like being investigated or something, and they basically show him that they have $3 million in cash in some suitcases, and they're like, "Hey, calm down, my guy." And he's like, okay, sure." And then he's like, the SEC is like gonna do an investigation. I have no idea what the SEC is, but business stuff. And he's like, "I haven't talked to anyone yet, and I definitely won't." And then Graham is essentially just like, "That's great, except I'm really worried that you're gonna blackmail me. So sorry." But then his other friends drown Dave Business in the hot tub, and he's dead. One of the guys, I think it's Albert, that helped drown Dave Business, is like freaked out about it. And Graham is just like, "Suck it up. I need you to clean this up and get everything ready because we're having a party tonight." And I was like, "Okay, bro." Then some random guy at a gas station gives DC the cat some milk. And then some other guy comes up and attacks him because he's going to rob the gas station. And so DC jumps up in the bed of the guy's truck. And then after they speed away, the demon cat comes out and busts through the window and gets him. So
you can
far,
see the puppeteer's arm too whenever he busts through the window. It's incredible.
I love it. So far I think Demon Cat's kind of just like a hero, if you're asking me. Like,
oh yeah,
I don't see the problem.
Demon Cat is
stand.
absolutely the hero of this movie. Nobody else in it is likable, so
no. So then we get some beautiful ocean views. We find out that we're in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. So second movie in a row to have yachts and Florida. I think I would take a killer cat over like Sex Fish, though. I think the cat and I would be friends. I don't want to be sexed by a fish if I had the choice.
What if the fish was also a toilet?
That's a good question.
They just said, I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. I
The
don't know if
cat
I
only
want either of
attacks
these,
people
but
who are. Well, you have to pick.
I feel like getting your ankles bitten would be worse.
Well, just don't be bad. Like, don't be an asshole, and DC won't attack you. Is the thing.
No, this
I
cat's
feel like we
definitely
could
just
team
attacking
up.
people for
fun.
So see, this is what we need. Is like if we're gonna have a crossover of everything, it should be Uninvited and Creatures from the Abyss. We're just one of those weird angler fish fucking looking things, and this cat, now that it's just floating out in sea. Oh no, I guess at the end it some weird looking kid gets it, but like just let them.
Okay, I have a lot of questions about the end of this movie.
I want Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, but it's the fucking cat from this and one of the fish from Creatures from the Abyss.
All right. Call Nathan up. He'll get your script ready.
Yeah, somebody give me
Xerxes
$79 million. I'll make that movie.
Okay, so yes. So we meet Lance and Corey, who are just two guys on spring break trying to get babes. And Bobby and Suzanne show up to the restaurant and sit with them, and they're just like, "We're just trying to get coffee. Can we sit with you guys?" And then they just like start talking. Another one of their friends named Hedgeworth shows up, and they're talking about how they're going to go on the yacht and the guys should come with them on this Caribbean cruise. And I was like, "Girl, that's not even your boat. How are you just going to invite people on it?"
Come along with us now.
Yeah. Corey is turns out obsessed with Graham, because Graham's like this Wall Street guy and Corey is like really into him. So then cut to a car pulling up, and it's got Graham and like his like partner guys, and he's talking about how he invited the girls on a trip to cover for them if someone starts like snooping around. And I feel like we don't ever fully find out like what kind of shady stuff he's doing, but like he is being shady, so I don't know. The whole group walks up to the yacht, and this is when they find DC the cat. And they also do notice that he's got a collar around his neck that says genetic lab or whatever, and they're just like, whatever, it's probably fine. And
it means nothing.
Yeah, they take him on the cruise, on the yacht. Then we get a scene of Graham talking to the captain of the ship, whose name is Rachel, and they're basically talking about how the whole crew quit because Graham is an asshole. And then we also kind of find out that the boat used to belong to her dad, but now Graham owns it, and he's also pretty gross and like insinuates that if she sleeps with him, he'll like think about giving her the boat or something. I don't know. He's fucking gross. The whole group shows up on the boat, and Graham is like pissed about the dudes being there, and he's like, you guys have to leave. And then nervous Albert shows up, and it's basically just like, hey, the SEC got a warrant to search the boat. We literally have to leave right now. And the kids are kind of just like, well, like, you don't have a crew, like, we'll stay and be your crew. Like, we just want to cruise, man. And he's like, okay, fine. But I hate cats. You need to get rid of that cat. And Suzanne basically like talks him into letting the cat stay. I know. But then he says, you owe me one, and I never forget. And I was like, somebody fucking kill him now, because he is disgusting. So then he like walks away or whatever. The girls, they like go down into the galley where they had the party the night before, and it's like fucking wrecked. And they turn on music and immediately start dancing and stuff. And it's like kind of funny because Bobby, Suzanne, Lance, and Corey kind of like pair up with each other. And Hedgeworth, who like came up to the table after they were already talking, is kind of like the third wheel. And so there's this scene of like the two groups dancing together, and he's just kind of like standing to the side, like shimmying, and it was very funny. Graham comes down and is like, hey, like, what the fuck are you doing? You have to clean this place up. It's your job. And he starts like assigning them tasks. Like, you're going to be the cook. You're going to be the busboy. And the guys are kind of like pissed about it, but then Bobby's like, hey, don't worry about it. Like, we'll do our jobs. We're just trying to have fun or whatever. And he's like, okay, fine. Then Graham and Mike have a talk about how basically they're sailing to the Grand Cayman Islands because there is a bank there where their money is. So I'm assuming that there's some kind of like money laundering scheme happening. They literally don't tell us like what's going on with that.
Yeah, it's not important.
No.
NBD.
There should be more movies
honestly,
where you have zero backstory on what any of these people are doing. It's just a cat killing people.
We don't even get the backstory of the cat either, so it's like, yeah, literally, we don't know what's going on at all.
I don't want to. I'm tired of knowing things.
I know enough about the cat.
Sucks.
I know it's got another cat inside of
agree.
it, and things happen.
Yeah. A huge cat somehow. Rachel gets a call. It mentions that there's going to be a storm, which like literally doesn't matter till the end of the movie. Downstairs, I'm not really sure what happened here. So Albert is like, oh, I'm going to be captain too, and like jerks the wheel. And then it shows DC down below, and like the little demon cat paw comes out and like slices a wire and like short circuits something.
So,
I think.
Hear me out. Batman
Right.
sequel, but this cat is the bad guy.
The cat's Batman.
So the Joker shows
love
up,
it.
and then this cat comes out of the Joker's mouth.
and then the demon
And
cat
then
comes out of
for
the
some
cat's
reason,
mouth.
Man-Bat comes out of the cat's mouth. And it's just a
I like
Man-Bat movie.
Yes, I'm into it. Yeah, shorts of wires or something. That night, Graham is kind of like regaling the group with his like Wall Street stories or some shit. Meanwhile, Rachel and Hedgeworth are kind of like connecting because like he's not like other boys. He's a marine biologist.
Can you imagine how fucking boring it would be to hang out with this guy telling you about his fucking stocks and shit? It'd be like hanging out with some NFT bro.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
Except at least NFT bros
Sounds
don't have
terrible.
any money anymore.
They're also like all pretty drunk at this point, so I'm sure they're just like whatever. Fucking Graham comes over and it's just like, why would you rather be talking to this kid when you can be talking to me? I don't know. He's just like fucking gross. And then everyone starts dancing and Rachel leaves to relieve Albert, who has been steering the ship but has gotten drunk, so now they are completely lost and off course. And Albert just like wanders off, right? He ends up running into DC and honestly gets what he deserves because he spits a mouthful of wine at the cat. Who the fuck does that? So Demon Cat comes out and mauls him in the neck. The scratch mark like starts pulsating and stuff, and then he falls overboard and dies.
An incredible turn by Clu Gulager with those horrible fake teeth.
What a fucking name.
By the way. What a hero. It's a miracle he could spit that wine with those fucking buck teeth that he had. Hats off.
What you don't see is how much of the wine stayed in his mouth.
Yeah. He started choking because it all just like bounced back into his throat.
So yeah, he falls overboard. Mike hears the splash and goes to see what's going on. Meanwhile, Graham has decided that it's time for him to dance with Bobby instead, and it's like, time for you to get lost, kid, and starts dancing with her, and it's like very gross. And then Mike comes in and calls Graham out and is basically just like, hey, there's all this blood on the boat. Albert fell in. And then they decide not to tell anybody because they're afraid that Rachel will turn the boat around to try and find him. And they really need to get to the Grand Caymans to get that money. So they're just going to pretend like they didn't see anything. But the next day, Rachel has to shut down the boat engine because it's overheating. And she also can't find Albert. So she goes looking for him. And they just find all of the blood on the side of the boat. And that's when Rachel is like, we have to stop the boat and call the authorities. Graham is like, well, if basically is trying to bribe her and says, if we can make it to the Grand Caymans by this deadline, I will have enough money that I won't need this yacht anymore and I can sell it to you. And she's like not really sure about that. But then Mike is basically just like, hey, by the way, Albert can't swim. So if he fell in, he's fucking dead. And she's like, okay.
That's so good. It's out of nowhere, like, oh yeah, no, I'm sure he can't swim, so he's dead. So just keep going. It's fine. And she's like, well, all right, if you're sure.
Yeah. But she's still going to write about it in her logbook. And they're like, yeah, do whatever you want, idiot.
Yeah. Who cares?
Hedgeworth. Okay, so this part really got me. Hedgeworth comes in and does some science using a sextant, which is something that you use to like tell direction on a boat, but somehow he uses it as a microscope. And he's like, he's asking Rachel for stuff. He's like, I don't know. I don't remember what he said, but he's like, do you have some water? Do you have some this? Do you have some that? And she's like, yeah, fucking here. Like, what is it? I'm not really sure. At this point, I had no idea what he was trying to say was happening. He was like, does this look like Albert's blood? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, how the fuck do you know what Albert's blood looks like? First of all. Second of all, he basically like looks in it and can see that the cells are multiplying really fast or something, but like he doesn't say that. And he's just like, oh, this is really strange. And I was like, I don't understand. At this point, I didn't understand what was going on. I don't know if that was like on purpose or what, but oh my God. Okay. It really takes off after this. Graham comes in, is watching Bobby do exercises, and he says, "You look better than Jane Fonda." And I was like, great. He's basically talking. Oh, he says once they get to the Grand Cayman Islands, he's going to have so much money, and he says, "Mucho good life." And I was like, what the fuck is this guy?
You don't say that all the time?
Mucho good life. And she's just kind of like, okay. He is like touching her and like rubbing on her and like creeping on her and stuff. And she's basically just like, leave me alone. And he's just like, you need to stop leading me on because I've let you on my boat and now it's time to pay up or something gross like that. And she's essentially just like, no, it's not going to happen. And like, also, what are you going to do? We're in the middle of nowhere. And he basically like threatens to like put them all on a lifeboat and leave them in the middle of the ocean. So he's like assaulting her essentially. Lance comes in and like sees him and tries to stop him. Then Mike comes in and shoots Lance in the arm.
Insane.
Lance and Bobby fall on the floor and are like, oh my God, bro, you're fucking crazy. Mike is full on going to shoot and kill Lance, but then Corey comes in and they start wrestling.
You're just saying a bunch of names. No one in this movie had names. You're making this up.
I know. I'm like,
this is like a Boy Meets World recap.
Pretty much. Mike, who is the old guy, drops his gun and they're like wrestling or whatever. And then Mike goes to get the gun that's underneath the couch, but then Demon Cat comes out and bites his fucking ankle off, essentially. They like show an up close shot of his ankle and it's like literally squirting out blood and it was great.
It rules.
So much.
Like a lot.
But he had an artery in his ankle apparently.
Well, they don't tell you is his heart is actually there.
Yes.
He had a
rare birth defect.
Weird condition.
He gets the gun, shoots at DC a bunch, and DC runs down into the basement, essentially. This is when they, like, look at Mike's wound, and it's, like, gushing blood everywhere. DC, like, bit through his entire shoe, and they're, like, confused because they're like, a cat can't do that. That's really strange. So they're like, wow, this guy needs help, right? So Rachel and Suzanne go upstairs to try and call for help on the radio, but then Graham comes up there with a gun and is like, don't call them, I'll shoot you. And Rachel is like, I don't know. Oh, like, I don't care, like, whatever you have going on, like, he needs help. But then Graham shoots the radio and destroys it. And then basically he's like, I'm going to shoot everyone else on this boat if you don't shut the fuck up and just, like, drive the boat to the Grand Cayman Islands or whatever. And so she's like, okay, fine. But the engine is overheating, so if we keep trying to turn it on, we could damage it, and then we'll be stranded out here forever. And he's just like, you stupid woman, let me try it. And then he tries to turn on the engine anyway, and then it starts, like, sparking and shit because it's overheated. And then she takes a fire extinguisher and, like, fire extinguishes him. And then Suzanne gets the gun. And Rachel is like, don't move or we'll blow your balls off. Okay. So Hedgeworth is saying, I'm not really sure where he got this information from, but Hedgeworth all of a sudden is just like, by the way, the cat is poisonous. And if he bites you, it makes your blood mutate really fast. And so that's why everyone's like...
that goddamn toxoplasmosis.
Yeah, yes. And we see Mike, who is, like, splurting blood everywhere. And he has what I thought was just a protuberance in his chest, but I think it was his heart. and it just explodes and he dies essentially.
What a way to go.
But there's a lot of pulsating of the skin and whatnot that goes on. Meanwhile, Bobby is talking about how she saw the cat when it bit Mike, and she talks about how it looked distorted, but she thinks it's the cat, and then that's when they talk about like how the cat was from a lab or whatever. And Graham was like, "What the fuck?" So yeah, Mike dies, and they just toss him overboard. Like, what else can you do, I guess? And they lock Graham up because they don't trust him, right? Rachel talks to Hedgeworth about how basically she used to own the boat because they were doing like a charter thing with her dad, but there's storm damage, and that made them fall behind on payments, and so that's why like Graham owns the boat now or whatever. They're just like bonding, I guess, while she tries to fix the engine. Then Corey is watching what like supposed to be guarding Graham or whatever, but Graham gives him a gold watch and a bundle of money and is like, "Hey, if you help me get to the Caymans, I will give you a lot more money." He's like, "Absolutely, I will do that." Then Suzanne undresses, and Corey stands out in the hallway and meows at her, and she's scared at first, but then she realizes it's him.
It's
I was
so
like, what the
fucking weird.
fuck?
Like, blatantly just a guy saying meow.
Yeah.
Oh god.
And then he comes in and he's like, "It's just me," which arguably is scarier than a demon cat in my mind. But he comes in and they make out and stuff, and then he's just like, "Stick with me. I have it all worked out. Things are really going to be like happening for me or whatever. I'll take care of you." The next day, the boat still will not start. Rachel freaks out a little bit, and Suzanne is also kind of like coming unhinged at this point. Now Bobby, and this is actually maybe my favorite part. Bobby goes to visit Lance. Lance is the one that got shot in the shoulder earlier, and they start making out because he says that he has no feeling in his arm. He's like, "Oh, my arm doesn't hurt anymore. There's no feeling." And I was like, that seems concerning, no?
Meh.
And so she's just like, "Here's what the doctor ordered," and she starts like massaging him, and they're like making out and shit, and it's very loud and disgusting sounding. And then she's just like, "Let me check on the patient," or something, and she flips the covers back, and the demon cat is just eating his entire hand. What?
Shit rocks.
And he's like, my hand, and there's like fingers on the bed next to him. It's just like fucking wild.
Cat was hungry.
Lance freaks out. I mean, yeah, they have all the food locked up, and they do talk about how the cat like not having food to eat or whatever. Lance freaks out because he remembers Hedgeworth talking about how if the cat bites you, like your blood will be poisoned. And so he freaks out and is just like, "I got poison in my blood. I got poison in my blood." And runs outside, immediately jumps overboard, and takes Bobby with him.
Hell yeah.
Corey and Hedgeworth jump in to try and find them, but they do not, and they both die. Wow.
Not a smart move.
Good effort, everyone. You
We're
tried.
like literally almost done with the movie somehow.
No, I mean, it's just people hanging out on a boat for
It's pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty bare bones.
There's not as many cool things as like the guy opening the fucking cooler and getting attacked by the cat. The best part of the movie.
So Suzanne is losing it at this point, and
Same.
everyone is just like, it's probably fine. We're probably all right. Don't worry about it.
No one's concerned at all about any of this.
Like, not really. The next day, Corey is trying to convince the girls that they need to let Graham out of like the bedroom they locked him in, because Hedgeworth and Rachel are trying to like fix the boat. They're basically doing everything. They're trying to find the cat. They're trying to fix the boat. They're rationing food for everybody. And so Corey's like, if we let Graham out, he can help me search for the cat or whatever. And they're like, okay, fine. And they ask Suzanne to stay on deck and watch and see if she can see like another boat or a plane or something. And she's essentially like, no, I'm not going to do it. They're like, okay. And then Corey like accuses that it's her fault essentially because like, I mean, she brought the cat on board. I mean, to be fair, even though the cat had like a genetic laboratory color, like I don't think you assume there's a demon cat inside your cat. Even though
maybe you should.
That's the first thing you're thinking anytime I see a cat. There's a demon in there.
I mean,
or a bomb.
I mean, honestly, yes, either or, very probable. So yeah, she's like, it wasn't my fault, or whatever. And then Hedgeworth is just like, she said, Hedgeworth, you said having cats on board was good luck, so it's actually your fault, which makes no sense. And he's like, yeah, for sure. And she's like, well, tell Corey it's not my fault. And then Hedgeworth is just like, yeah, he knows, it's cool. Like, so can you just watch for a boat or a helicopter? And she's like, okay. So Corey and Graham go looking around for the cat, and they put poisoned food like all around, essentially. Then for dinner, they're trying to ration the food because it's been like 2 days so far that they've been like stranded. And so they all eat a few flakes of cereal and a thimbleful of champagne for dinner. Delish.
It's a 4-course meal right there.
Yes. What else could you want? Corey is downstairs, like, they say checking his traps, aka checking the poisoned food. Actually, maybe this is the best part of the movie. He goes down there to check the poisoned food, and the cat obviously is not eating it because it's poisoned. And then he's like, oh man. And then DC shows up, and Corey just starts shooting randomly all over the bottom of the boat. And he shoots like a tank, like their tank of like water that's in the boat or whatever, and it starts like flooding the boat. And then he shoots like, I don't know what it is, like a heater or something, which explodes and kills him. Pretty great.
That's how I want to go out.
His
Exploding
face is like super
heater.
fucked up. Yeah. The next day, they wrap his body up and also toss him overboard. And Grant decides that they should try and take the lifeboat out, but Rachel is basically just like, that's stupid. Like, we don't even know where we are. That's a bad idea. Meanwhile, they find out that the cat has broken into the food storage locker, which is made of metal, and has, like, eaten and scratched up all of their food so that now it's contaminated. And I was like, can confirm a cat would do this.
Yeah,
Merlin...
real big cat energy.
Merlin has eaten like half a pack of Oreos. He's eaten countless things of bread. One time he ate an entire container of like melatonin snacks, and I definitely thought he was going to die. He was fine, obviously. He has one time we made burgers for dinner, and they were like sitting on the counter, and he brought an entire burger patty upstairs and dropped it on the carpet in our bedroom, and also a piece of pizza. He's done it with pizza. He's stolen steak. So like, yeah, the list goes on. This is big cat
All I'm
behavior.
hearing is you guys leave a lot of meat just sitting on the table.
So
Some meat strewn about.
So, to be fair, we didn't know it was him. The first time that some meat went missing, it was a steak. And we think it was, at the time, one of the dogs. So we started gating off the kitchen when we had food in there. And so the second time it happened, the gate was kind of like moved over a little bit. So we thought, it's weird. It probably isn't the dog, but there's a whole steak missing. So it had to be him. So what we think happened was that Merlin went in there, took the steak, and dropped it on the floor, and then the dog ate it. So we didn't know, right? But then when Merlin took the hamburger and brought it upstairs, that's when we realized that it was Merlin, because the dog couldn't get to it. Okay, but then when he took the pizza was like covered, and he like moved the cover and took the pizza, ate all the cheese off, and brought Chris one pepperoni.
Making sure you guys got to eat.
He's like, here, I already ate the whole pizza, but you can have this one pepperoni, you fucking idiot.
That saved you the good part.
Here you go, Miga. Anyways.
Xerxes would never do that. Xerxes would just scarf it down immediately. And then just look at you like, where's the rest? Lex has zero interest in human food. Lex, like...
Yeah, isn't that...
Lex will do that thing where, like, you'll have food and he'll be, like, smelling the air, and then when he gets close to it, he's, like, looks offended that you're eating it. He's like, oh, why are you eating that? And then just, like, gives you this look and walks away. I'm like, okay.
Maytel's not really interested either unless it's specific things. Like, for some reason, she loves peanut butter, and you're not really supposed to give cats peanut butter because they can, like, choke on it or whatever. But one time my sister-in-law made these, like, dog treats for the dogs, and they were, like, oats, berries, and, like, peanut butter or something, and she ate, like, an entire one before I caught her. And then Chris is, like, also obsessed with peanut butter, and he puts, like, a scoop of peanut butter on his cereal, and he, like, put his bowl down, and Maytel ran right up to it and just started...
Hold on a second. He puts a scoop of peanut butter on his cereal?
Yeah.
That's weird. I've never heard
like,
that before.
Mixes it in. I don't like it. He does it with his ice cream.
It sounds like your, like, cereal would get, like, weird and, like, glompy.
You would think so, but he loves it. He also has just, like, peanut butter spoon where he just, like, eats a spoon of peanut butter, and I do not partake in that. No, I don't. But she, like, ran up and started licking the peanut butter. No. But, so she's kind of like that, too. She won't really, like, steal food unless it's, like, peanut butter. Oh, except, you know what? I caught her one time. I had, like, a jar of candy it was, like, around Halloween on the table, and I was noticing Hershey Kiss wrappers on the floor, and I couldn't figure out where they were coming from. And then I watched her jump up on the table, pick one out with her teeth by the little, like, Hershey Kiss, like, paper tail thing, and then, like, try and walk away with it. And I was like, excuse me, you are not supposed to be eating chocolate. So now the candy stays wrapped, but it's just like they will fucking get anything. But then the other two cats don't care about food at all, and I'm just like, what's the deal with that? I don't know.
I say Lex is always interested, and then he smells it and he's just like, get the fuck away from me.
You dirty and great. So, anyways, yeah, so the cat broke in and fucked up all their food, of course. And so Hedgeworth is basically just like, the food's all contaminated now, like, we can't eat any of it. But Suzanne is like, I don't believe you. You're making shit up. Grant. Why do I keep saying Grant? Graham and Rachel get into it's like, you know, later that day or whatever, get into an altercation where Rachel ends up dropping her keys and Suzanne takes them so that she can go downstairs and get the food, because she thinks that Hedgeworth and Rachel are lying about the food being contaminated and are just trying to keep all the food for themselves. So she opens the cabinet and starts eating the food, and she's just like, haha, I knew it, this food's fine. And then she sees the cat, and she's like, oh, you're so sweet, you won't hurt me or anything like that. And then she starts choking from eating the contaminated food, and she dies. It looks pretty cool. She essentially, I guess what's happening to them is that their blood is mutating so fast that it's like too much for their veins, and it just like, because like her artery like busts out of her neck and then she dies.
What a way to go.
So she like, so she like choked on her own blood, which is pretty gross. So she's dead. This is when the storm finally starts happening, and now there is water literally gushing into the boat from where Corey shot a hole in the side of the boat like a fucking idiot. And essentially the boat is just going to sink. So the 3 people that are left, which is Hedgeworth, Graham, and Rachel, are going to finally take the lifeboat. Graham is like going back and forth because he's trying to save the briefcases of money that are in his room. And so he goes back for a briefcase, and the cat is in there, just like sitting by the briefcase, and he's just like, oh no, and tries to grab the suitcase, but then the cat attacks him, but kind of like comes up from under the water and gets him, and it looks pretty crazy because now the puppet's like wet and shit. Edgeworth goes back to check for Graham, but Graham's already dead. And he's like, oh man. So he goes back and jumps over the side of the boat into the water, manages to get in the lifeboat, and they escape as the yacht starts sinking. Graham's dead. Hedgeworth is like, oh my, I wonder what was so important about these briefcases that he would risk his life. And he opens it, and there's $1 million. The scene was so weird because it is like violently storming loudly, but then they're loudly playing like really optimistic, like end of the movie, happy ending music over top of it. And it's like very
so good.
jarring. So they discover the money, and he's basically just like, we'll have enough money to buy a boat. And she's like, yeah, and we can fund your mutant cat research. Haha. I'm like, all right. I don't know why he would want to do that. But then the cat shows up, leaps out of the water, and Hedgeworth is like wrestling with him in the air, throws him overboard, and then it happens again. The cat leaps out of the water and wrestles with him. He's like, oh, it's not over yet. Throws the cat overboard for a second
line is like,
time.
don't look now, it's not over yet.
I was like, what the fuck is going on? And he's basically just like, if we're the only thing moving in the ocean, he's going to keep attacking us. So they empty the money into a duffel bag and then throw the suitcase overboard so that the demon cat can float on top of it. This is like the best scene in the movie because they like zoom in on the cat just like floating on top of a suitcase with like the upbeat music playing again. It's like like over the cat, the demon cat puppet just like watching them. So
that's how Titanic
then
landed.
it cuts. I mean, honestly,
Absolutely.
though. It cuts to Hedgeworth and Rachel basically being saved by like the Coast Guard or whatever, and they like get their money, and it's like, yay, happily ever after. And then it shows like a slow pan on the beach, and we see the suitcase, and then for some reason there's a black cat. Oh, okay, this makes sense. I was really confused at first because there's just like a black cat on the beach, and this kid comes up and he's like, kitty, 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 and like picks it up, and then it like zooms in on the kid with the cat, and I was like, why is it a black cat now? But I get it. It's because like the demon cat was just living inside the other house cats, so it's a different cat. But I was just like very confused about what was going on there. And that's the end. I feel like that's like the fastest we've ever done somehow.
Yeah, we're 53 minutes.
Oh, wow.
I
anyways.
want a sequel where this weird demon cat is living inside that little kid now.
But still at, like, he's the kid, but he's inside of the cat. So it's a cat within a kid within a cat.
Yeah, I'm in.
Yeah. It's cats and kids all the way down.
All right.
So yeah, overall, I think this movie is like stupid. But the puppet of the cat and the demon cat together, I think makes this movie worth it. And like I said, I think the practical effects of like the people choking on their own blood was pretty good for what it was.
All the effects of like people's like the body horror kind of aspects of shit, all kind of rules. Like when dude's chest is just like pulsating and stuff, and it's got some pretty unfun ankle gore in it.
Trauma.
Yeah.
Yeah, trauma.
Yeah, not a fan of that in general, but looked pretty good.
All right, any news?
No.
The end of America.
I mean, we could only hope. Let's see.
I mean,
I don't think I looked at like if there was like anything for news.
I looked, but it's like a lot of, first of all, mostly shit about Firestarter, new Firestarter, which I could not care less about, and just like other news about new movies I've never even heard of, or you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. There just doesn't seem to be a lot.
There's a movie coming called Ouija Witch.
Oh yeah.
Sure, that's
Uh,
great.
Leprechaun's getting his own Funko Pop.
Oh, I did see that. It's pretty cute.
Look, if he doesn't have a bong, and one of them was, what are we even doing?
Yeah,
There's a
fair.
was it a trailer for Prey? Or was it
Yeah,
just
like a little teaser.
Is that going straight to Hulu?
Yep,
Yeah, I'll watch that.
same.
That's not something I would have paid to go to a theater to see, but I'll watch that for free. Fred Ward died. That's news.
Terrible.
Yeah. Sad.
I think that was maybe the only thing I was trying to remember was that. Looks like everything else is just like a bunch of bullshit I don't care about. Just give me I just want Crimes of the Future. That's all I care about now.
Same. I want to see Men and Crimes of the Future, and then movies can end.
Yeah.
Until Danzig's werewolf biker movie.
That is also a crime of the future.
Yes. Alright. Everybody watch this week. Kit, what'd you watch?
Let's see, I watched Popcorn. Did I talk about that on last episode?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
Everything
we
runs
talked about
together.
how it sucks.
It's all bad. Yeah, that's right. Then the only other thing that I watched was The Sadness, which was fine.
Yeah, I watched that and it's like
It's okay. Like, there's some good gore in it, but like, it's not super crazy or anything. Like, I don't know.
I just wish it like did anything else with like if you're gonna make a movie based around a pandemic at this point, like I don't know, you got to do like something with it as opposed to just be like, I don't know, the pandemic and some shit happened.
It was like less interesting 28 days later, but with, way more violence.
Just way more like edgelord to it.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think I keep saying it's like the pandemic hostile.
Yeah, it's very much one of those like torture porny kind of movies, which are really not my jam.
I just like, I don't know, it was weird. Like, I feel like if they would have just like they do this thing in it where they're just kind of like at the beginning they're like, oh, like they show like shit of like, somebody on YouTube talking about like the pandemic not being like real or fucking whatever.
It's the government.
Yeah. And so I'm like, okay, like I guess that's a thing they're doing to this where they're showing that like, the internet's making people believe it's not a real thing. But then it's also the fucking like virologist or whatever's like a fucking ultra bad guy in it too, and I'm just like, you just like pick a side.
Yeah, God damn it.
Also, like
every time.
I don't know. It was just I don't know. I found it like wildly underwhelming, and like the only like gore in it, and not even gore because it wasn't even gory, but like the dude getting his arm broken on the stairs was like the only part that I was like, okay,
it's gnarly.
That kind of rules. And everything else in it, I was like, okay, well I've seen better versions of most of this in like better movies. So. But I don't know. Everybody else seems to fucking love it. But it's also people that are just like, only watch slasher movies because the only shit they give a shit about is like kills. They don't really give a fuck about like actual story in movies.
The movie.
Yeah. All right, Katie, what did you watch?
I watched a season of Aw, Real Monsters.
Hell yeah.
Caitlin
so
got on
amazing,
Paramount
love it.
Plus yesterday and was like, "Were you watching Ah Real Monsters?" And I was like, "No." And then I was like, "Oh,
That's
I was
on Paramount Plus?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I was like,
I had no idea.
I was like, Katie
Sick.
uses it, so it was probably her.
Yeah, definitely me. Yeah, it's on Paramount.
Our Paramount Plus is like Katie watching shit like that, Caitlin watching fucking some Jersey Shore spinoff, and then just like Jackass for me.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, I watched that. Still holds up. Love it. I also watched. What did I watch? Oh, I watched this movie. I don't know if it's a Shudder exclusive or what it was, but it was on Shudder and it was called The Cellar, like the cellar of your house, in the basement cellar.
I don't think I've heard of that.
It's from this year, and I had seen a lot of people recommend it and talk about it, but have to say it was very meh. It was kind of like, it's just like a cult movie, and they tried to like do this like new spin on it, but it didn't really work for me. So I'm gonna go ahead and just meh on the Shudder stuff still. And then I watched The Batman finally, which Nathan and I recorded a bonus episode on it that's like over an hour long, so you can go hear my thoughts about it there.
Yeah, you can hear me talking about Robert Pattinson eating pussy in the sequel.
That's true. That did happen. And then we've just been watching Gotham, and so now we're on season 3 of that. I tried to watch this, like, I watched some other stuff for another bonus episode also, but then I tried to watch this Tubi original movie called Teardrop, and I didn't make it very far, so there's that.
Katie was like, I've been trying to watch this like Tubi original, and my internet just keeps like shutting it down. And I was like, well, that's your fault for watching a Tubi original that isn't for the podcast.
Yeah,
it's trying to save you.
Definitely not worth the struggle. So,
I watched the first 4 Batman movies.
Heck yeah.
All bangers. I then unfortunately watched Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice, which
awful.
Here to tell everybody still sucks. And then I watched the original cut of Justice League. Holy shit. That movie is fucking terrible. Like, I don't like Zack Snyder, but his version's fucking infinitely better than whatever the fuck Joss Whedon finished for him, because it was borderline unwatchable. I watched a movie called Devil Lover, which is like this like sort of crime movie from Hong Kong, I think, about like this couple that just has this like weird tumultuous relationship, and then something happens. Like, there was no subtitles, so I have no idea what anyone was saying, but the movie is very like vibey and like cool looking, so I just watched watched all of it. So I can't necessarily say if anything they're saying is good, but it looked cool as hell. I watched a Joe D'Amato movie I bought called Papaya, Love Goddess of the Cannibals. That was fine. I watched 3 more Demons movies for an episode Katie and I are doing eventually. And then I watched The Oily Maniac, which fucking slaps. High recommend.
Opening my own independent movie theater just so I can do a double feature of that and Greasy Strangler.
Every Saturday, just that double feature.
Yep.
And then right before Katie and I started recording, I finished Birds of Prey, the Harley Quinn, whatever long ass title I refuse to remember. It's fine. It's got shit in it that I really liked, and it's got some shit in it that I was just kind of like, all right, this is weird. But Ewan McGregor's Black Mask, I'm here for. And having fucking Victor Zsasz as like an actual bad guy in one of these movies finally rules, because Zsasz is a fucking creepy ass villain in like the DC world.
I haven't seen what he looks like in the movie, but the guy that they got to play him in Gotham is like, I see him in my nightmares. He's so creepy
he
looking.
kind of looks like I don't know, he's got like scars. Like they didn't do a great job of portraying, like, you know, like in the comic books he's got like the dashes for like the 5 dashes, so like the 4 and then the 1 crossing over, and like a lot of it like for every time he kills somebody. In this one, he's just got like, it just looks like he just does a random kind of fucking cut on him. But then he's also got like bleach blonde hair and like a fucking gold tooth and shit, so it's very like Jared Leto jokery as well.
Yeah.
It what's this guy from? I can't think of what like he's from like TV, like some TV shows. I just can't picture what. Chris Messina is the guy that plays him. It's not super great, but like, I don't know, more Victor Zsasz content.
Yeah.
Like stop putting the same 5 Batman villains in every movie and do like weird shit. Having like Ewan McGregor play Black Mask was pretty fun, and
yeah,
I'm always here for Mary Elizabeth Winstead doing shit. Was that? Yeah, I think that was it. Alright. Shout outs. Katie.
Oh shit.
Every time.
I know. I don't know how I always forget. I got jalapeno limeade from Trader Joe's, and then I put tequila in it, and it was really good. So that's my shout out.
Alright, Kit, what about you?
I forgot a couple of weeks ago, the new Undeath album, It's Time to Rise from the Grave. Sick.
There was something that like something death metal that I came across recently that I was like, I'm surprised Kit didn't mention this on the podcast as a shout out, and I can't remember what it was.
I'm very curious.
I feel like it was something I stumbled across on Spotify that I was like, I'm gonna ask Kit about this, that I just like forgot to text you about it. So
let me know if you stumble across it again.
It was something that I feel like you've like you know about, like you've like tweeted about it, but it was one of those ones where it was like, it wasn't Blood Incantation, but one of those things where like when I see whatever band it was, I think, oh, this is one of Kit's bands. So I was like surprised it was something that didn't come up, but I just like can't remember now. I gave Katie a bunch of shit, and I don't remember what my shout out was gonna be. I'm gonna shout out. Oh wait, yeah, I do. I had to look it up earlier. Let me see if I can find this podcast. The Arkham Sessions, Psychology of Batman and More.
Yeah, I'm gonna look that up right now, actually.
It's this podcast I talked about, like the Batman bonus episode that goes through every episode of Batman the Animated Series, from like where one of the hosts is like an actual psychologist and talks about just like the psychology of Batman and his villains. And it looks like they started diving into other shit, like they do some of the animated movies, they do some Doom Patrol stuff. Looks like they dive into like the MCU. But it's interesting hearing them talk about like the you know, the psychology behind characters like Clayface and fucking Man-Bat and shit.
Yeah, I can't wait.
All right, next week, Crispin Glover's Willard.
Yeah, Willow.
Yeah, I wish Crispin Glover. That's reboot Willow with Crispin Glover instead of what's his name from Leprechaun.
It actually looks like they're doing other, not just Batman stuff anymore.
Yeah, that's what I just said. They just started diving into like MCU and some other
Yeah.
shit. Well, because I mean, you eventually run out of the TV show that doesn't exist anymore.
What?
No. How dare they?
I always like when you find like
Steven Universe.
a podcast that's like, we're gonna discuss all the episodes of this TV show that had 2 seasons, and then it gets like massively popular for some like somehow, and then they're just like, I'm like, yeah, now what are you gonna do when you're out of episodes in like a year?
Pivot to
Right.
crypto.
Yeah, they just start talking about fucking Bitcoin, how everybody's pouring out.
Boo.
That's what you fucking dummies get.
I was listening to a podcast earlier that was covering that documentary Farmer Bro, and I totally forgot about that fucking loser.
I thought you said
nerd.
farmer, like a farmer, not pharma. And I was like, what?
Yeah, that fucking farmer.
I was like, did I miss something on the internet one
That
day?
piece of shit. God damn him.
With his fucking pumpkins and his saving
Corn.
the bees.
I'm waiting till Thursday when like part 2 of the episode drops, but the Behind the Bastards that dropped today is on Twilight Zone the movie, and I can't fucking wait to listen to it.
Oh shit.
I know Robert Evans is gonna just talk about John Landis being a piece of shit the whole time. So I'm excited.
Good. That reminds me, I need to watch the other like cursed film stuff.
Yeah, I was waiting for it to finish. I'll probably get to that sometime in the next like week or 2. Yeah, next week's Willard.
Yeah.
If you would like to support us, you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/IBSufferPodcast. Like Katie said earlier, when this is out, there's an episode on the Batman that'll be dropping on there. We'll have our Demons episode sometime soon. Then an episode on 3 fucking 90s teen comedy, romance, whatever Shakespeare movies that Tiffany picked for us. We're also donating our Patreon payout to like abortion funds at the end of the month, so you should join. Get those bonus episodes. Go
Do it.
jump back to our Christmas episode that Katie and I recorded about fucking 4 Christmas movies. I can only remember one of at this point.
Letters to Satan Claus.
That's the only one I remember. Did we? Oh, we did Rare Exports, right?
Yeah.
And then some shitty Krampus movie.
Santa Sleigh.
Oh,
Oh my
yeah,
God.
Santa Sleigh. Fucking
Krampus
movie.
Unleashed. Not great.
opening
Yeah.
scene of Santa Sleigh is the greatest fucking piece of cinema.
Agreed.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can get merch at our Store Frontier shop. Leave us a rating on Spotify and a rating and review on iTunes. Tell us how many cats you think are inside this cat. I bet it keeps going where it's cat alien, cat alien,
Yeah.
cat alien. Just like
Cat centipede.
just like a fucking Russian nesting doll.
I love it.
Uh,
Tell us if you think we should make a Seth the Snake ACAB shirt or a DC the Demon Cat ACAB shirt.
but why not both?
Or both. Yeah.
You can follow us on Instagram at I Hope You Suffer Podcast. Follow Kit at Hidden Kitstery. Follow Katie at Werewolf Face. And you can join Katie's Patreon at patreon.com/werewolfface. You can listen to my other podcast, Naked Movie Club. Go watch Willard. Honestly, watch every movie we did for Animal Attacks Month. They were all
Yeah, pretty good.
pretty
good, actually.
pretty good, despite also not being good.
Yeah, they weren't the worst of the bad. They were pretty entertaining, at least.
They were all at least crazy. King Cobra, Creatures from the Abyss, fucking Uninvited, and then Willard, which I will say is legitimately good. Katie, you haven't seen this, have you?
I don't know. I feel like I have, but I can't remember anything that happened in it, so I'm not sure.
A lot of rats. Crispin Glover being Crispin Glover in it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
All right. I hope you're uninvited to yacht parties that don't have sex showers, but why?